Okay, hello. For Valentine's Day, or in Valentine's Day's sake, I thought it'd make sense to make a video about toxic relationships, my experience, and how I dealt with them, just in case. And by the way, I'm not professional, and this might be toxic, but it got me out safely. Because if you're in a relationship, chances are it's probably toxic and it's wasting your time. I'm just kidding. But yeah, this was mentioned and brought up by Mr. Underworld. I forgot the rest of your name, so I just decided to say Mr. Underworld. Sorry. But yeah, I sadly have a lot of experience with toxic relationships, and I also want to make sure to point out that I was also toxic myself, and I am aware of the shit I do. Like, I have destroyed, like, my ex's stuff. Like, I would tear out their clothes. Like, I rip them up to shreds and break their stuff. I was an angry person, okay? And so I lashed out a lot. I was very angry. I was very aggressive. I never hit them. I have just petty shit, basically, just angry. I'm not afraid to, I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm a very quiet person in general, but I do speak up, and when I do speak up, it's a lot. Like, it's very confrontational, I don't use a healthy way of talking, basically. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that I was part of the problem. Anyways, so my experience with the two relationships, I've had 3 all my life, but the first one wasn't that toxic. He had some bullshit, but he wasn't that toxic. So he doesn't count, I guess. We'll talk about that. But my other 2 relationships were pretty toxic. Like, really, really toxic. I don't wish that on anybody, even my enemies. That's how bad they were. I wish I could post their picture and what they did and proof, all the proof you guys would want for the girls to know, kind of like Target, because it's bullshit, and they could do that the same with me, but I'm pretty sure nobody would ever want to, be with them after that. So I've gone through pretty much everything typical, mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, and cheating, which I think it's a form of abuse because, it's pretty messed up. And for me, the way I dealt with it was, the first one that I went through was he cheated on me, and it kind of opened up that idea for me that people are capable. Arias just went out. He can open my door, so I got scared because he opens the door and the other cat gets in and wants to freaking pee everywhere. Anyways, I can also tell you toxic cat stories. No, I'm just kidding. So the one that cheated on me really opened up my mind to the fact that cheating is pretty common. In fact, eventually most of us will experience cheating, especially a straight man. I don't know what it is, but they do that shit, and it's excused more often. Like, I don't know how many times I was told that I had to own up to the fact that it was my fault that he cheated on me, that it was on me because I didn't provide what he needed in the relationship, versus him owning up to what he did and just either breaking up with me or working on things, because he never talked to me. He never talked about me, what he needed or whatever, right? And yeah, like, I can't, it's crazy. So because of that, I just became a shitty person. I didn't care. I didn't really care. I started to, once I had realized it crushed me so bad, I think it gave me PTSD because I had panic attacks a lot, especially at night. If he wasn't around, I did not break up with him because somebody fails you does not mean you automatically fail them. You know what I mean? Like, you don't automatically, like, I would say stuff like, I'm gonna do that to you, let's see how you like it, but I knew I couldn't do it. I could never do that. I didn't have it in me to do that. I could pretend all I wanted to, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't cheat. I can't. And it's sad because You know, a lot of guys think it's so easy, and I'm sorry if you're a guy and you're not relating to that, but it's it's more excusable. Yes, it happens on both ends, you know, but it's more excusable for men to do it, because if I would have been the one that cheated on, I bet you his family would have accused me of being like slut shaming and everything. But with him, they excused that. The people that knew didn't speak up on it, didn't tell him anything about it, but you know, they made it, I don't know. It's just really messed up. And then the other one, he was more like abusive, but they were all shit, basically. So this is how I deal with it. When you're in a toxic relationship and you know it's toxic, you accept that it's toxic and it's not gonna work out. That's what happened to me. Once he had cheated on me and this other guy, obviously not at the same time, you have to kind of try to, what is it called? Like, constantly examine if this relationship is savable. And what is savable? What is worth saving? Is it worth saving? This guy was physically abusive, especially when drinking. And they both had drinking problems. And this guy, he was a cheater, he was a liar, and he was very comfortable lying to me and blaming it all on me when it all, you know, when I found everything out or I'd find everything. So, and the thing is, I had issues too. I have, you know, my ed. I had my full blown, and by the way, my ed started because I had a lot of issues, but what started it completely was the cheating. Like, the PTSD with the cheating really hurt because I really didn't think it was possible. Because I really, you know, you make the mistake of assuming somebody loves you as much as you love them, and it's shit, you know. Like, I really did believe in unicorns or whatever. You really do believe the way you feel is the same for others. It's not. It really isn't. You can never know. So I had my mental issues, they had theirs. Addiction, you know, I was addicted to punishing myself. I felt more comfortable, more in control, away from all the stuff I couldn't control, by punishing myself. And that's a whole nother story. But it was ultimately my decision, you know, to take it like that and continue with the relationship. So I couldn't just let go of the relationship just yet. I was attached. I was still infatuated or obsessed or whatever it is. But once you know it's not love, you know, you have to walk away. And that's the biggest thing I tell you guys. Walk away. You have to leave. Okay, I didn't leave because sometimes you have to learn your lessons, and now I know the lessons, but it would have saved me like 4 years, honestly, maybe even more, who knows. But okay, so once I realized both of these relationships were unsavable, there was no way of saving them. There was no way I'll ever be happy in them, right? This is what you have to decide if you're in a toxic relationship. You have to accept the fact that you cannot be happy with this person. You will not be happy. And this is the first one. First, can you tell them that it bothers you? For example, sure, I can believe people can move forward and get stronger with cheating, infidelity, well, physical abuse. I don't think I'll excuse that, to be honest. No abuse. Okay, I'm sorry, but if you're abused by your significant other, it's not gonna work out. But maybe cheating, you can excuse this one time if you're up for it. I personally would never, ever excuse it again. I made the mistake once. I'm not going to do it again. That's just a boundary you just never cross. So once you accept the fact that this is not savable, or if you want to make sure it isn't, let's say they did something that really bothered you, like, or something really toxic, like cheating. Tell them that it really affected you. It's really painful. And if they don't do everything it takes, anything, I'm talking sleeping by your side, contacting you every time, them letting you go through your, them allowing you to go through their phone just for your peace of mind for as long as you need, because of that trauma of, like, you know, the cheating, then they don't care about you, and that's your first sign to move on. If they're not willing to do anything it takes to help you heal from that betrayal or that damage, you know, that's the first sign. The other one is, tell them you want to go to couples therapy with them. And this is a big one, okay? You don't even have to actually go. You just mention it and be super serious. I am very affected, like, let's just say, I'm very affected by this and this and this you did. I want us to go to couples therapy, and I want to be counseled or talked or helped with a professional, you by my side, because we're in this situation together, right? If they say no, even if you offer to pay for it or to schedule the appointment and pay for it, both of those, you're making it really easy so they can help you heal the damage that has caused by their actions, and they still say no, you need to get the hell out of the relationship. If they don't want to work it out, if they're afraid to be confronted by a professional because chances are they know they're wrong, you need to get out. There's no saving it, okay? So that's the first step of toxic relationships. And now we move to the next one. Now you know. They said no, and they blamed you for everything, and they don't want to help you deal with that, right? Let's just say. The second thing I would do, and I did, is emotionally detach. If you can't leave, if you can't let them go yet, emotionally detach. This will make it easier for you to leave eventually. I started emotionally detaching from them. Every time you guys are hanging out, having a good time, think about what they did to you and how they'd probably do it again, especially if they don't want to go to therapy or help you out, feel better, right? Think about it. Think about how they didn't care that they did that, you know? They didn't care, and they probably, you know, though they've done it before to other women. And once you're finally free, they'll probably do it to somebody else. So, that's one of the things you have to consider. Every time you think you're having a good time, remember what they did. And that they don't care enough. You will be sad. Okay, so here's the thing. Emotionally detaching is not easy, especially if you still love this person. But because they failed you, you have to leave. You have to protect yourself. You have to be there for yourself. You have to always pick yourself first. I made the mistake of not. Okay? So, you will emotionally detach by, you know, remembering what they did, and remember that this person is not the best you can do. There are people out there who will work it all out with you if they ever make a mistake, and won't even get that extreme. Their mistakes will be very minimal. You know what their mistake would be? Ordering you the wrong food that one time. That's what their mistake will be. And they'll feel terrible about it, and they'll be like, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me go get you the right food. And that's who you deserve. People that don't fail you like that, you know? And you're wasting your time with toxic people. That's what I did. I kept telling myself, there's people out there who would want to spend my birthday with me, would drive over to see me. You know what I mean? They would care. They wouldn't blame me for everything. They wouldn't, you know, like if this person, one of the problems I had is every time there was an issue and I'd bring it up, they would break up with me because they wanted to train me, manipulate me into thinking, I'll leave you if you bring up any problems. So that's a red flag, dude. So yeah, there's people there that they want to listen to you talk about issues, and they want to solve them. They don't want to argue out of nowhere for no reason, always making you feel like an idiot, you know? So just remember your dream person. And this person exists out there, and you're wasting your time with this toxic ass person. You know, that's what I kept telling myself. There's so many people out there in the world, and I'm really gonna settle for this piece of shit? Really? For this person who like makes me feel like shit, you know, will not let me reach my highest potential? Hell no. No, don't do it. I promise you. It's really sad how easily we get attached and how deeply we start to believe that we can't be without this person. But in reality, you've been without them before and you were fine. And a lot of times, majority of the people you meet are there to teach you a lesson. And the faster you learn it, the more of a heartbreak you save yourself from. So that's what I was thinking the whole time. If I could just learn my lesson, it wouldn't. And if you don't learn your lesson and this person leaves you, it will keep, the same type of person will be attracted to you, and it will keep happening again until you finally learn it. And I think I learned it. Thank God. Oh my God, yes. I'm free. I'm freaking free. Anyways, so that's the step one. Step that was a second step. So first is identify the toxicity and accept it. Come to terms with it and know that this relationship it's not going to work. The second one is emotionally detach if you can't leave. Now, the third one is if you can leave, leave. Save yourself so much time and effort. Just leave, move on with your life if you cannot leave. Or, for example, my second ex-boyfriend, he left me, which, it hurt, but I was actually really grateful. Even the day he left me, I was like, it's finally over. Like, all this torture, all this bullshit, it's finally over. The lying, the cheating, the blaming on me for any mistake they got called out for, it was finally all done. The pain you're gonna feel from now on for a few months, it's gonna end once it ends there. You know what I mean? It's not gonna, if you're in a toxic relationship, chances are the pain is up and down for as long as you stay in the relationship. But once you're out, the healing will start with the pain right away, but it only lasts like 3 months to maybe 6 months, okay? Versus years and years of being in the tortured, like, proximity of that person. So I felt it right away. The huge weight lifted off my shoulders when he left me, when he finally left. And I'm so grateful because, you want them to leave you, okay? That's the best case. This is my other one too. So my most recent relationship, he was abusive. He was dangerous, basically. So he had punched me when he was drunk, and that's the excuse he used. But he punched me in a spot where nobody could see the bruise, like on my side. And it's like, oh wow, you're so drunk. Even then, you knew where to, strike, and nobody would want to see it. So because he was physically abusive and very dangerous, I knew that I had to get him to leave me. I had to be his idea. And for both situations, I'm so glad that they left, because here's the deal. When a person breaks up with you, it feels like they are better than you and you're worse, and you're whatever you feel. Because a lot of people brag about, oh, I've broken up with everybody, nobody's ever broken up with me. But in reality, I think it's better when people break up with me. I like it better because psychologically speaking, when someone breaks up with you, they feel like they are better than you. I've heard this multiple times. In their mind, they think they can do better than you. And that's why they break up with you. Because a breakup is a giving up on the relationship, terminating it, not working on it anymore. It's not, I can't work on it, we're done. You know what I mean? Other than if it was a healthy relationship and it was more on the mutual side, like, you know what, I don't feel anything, do you? Not really, let's just go our separate ways. Okay, then that's a healthier way of dealing it. It's very rare. But if the other person leaves you, it's because they think in their head they can do way better than you, which is fine. It's perfectly fine. I supported it. In fact, I encourage to go this route because there will be a switch. Over time, they will realize, wait a minute, I made the ultimate decision of terminating this relationship, and now I miss this person. And that missing will only grow more versus us, whoever is broken up with. We were the ones who didn't have a say on it. They left. Hey, this happened, and now I have to work with it because this is what just happened. I have no control over it, so I'm just gonna work with it, right? They left. Let's look at the bright side. Let's look at the good things. And another thing is, once they leave, especially if they're physically abusive, they think they can do better, whatever. Okay, it sucks if they find somebody else to abuse. I wish I could warn them somehow, but if they are physically abusive, for example, I tried to leave once when he had punched me. He made his way over. He did not make his way over on my birthday. He did not make his way over when I was miserable or sad or going through something. But he made his way back when he had punched me and I wanted nothing to do with him. I was scared because it's like, oh, so you make it back for this. And that is why I knew at that point that I had to convince him, or not convince him, get him to leave me. It had to be his idea, and then never again see him. And that is why that's a safer route, especially when you deal with violent men, get them to leave. you know? And the thing is, a lot of the times when whoever makes the decision to break it up will have more feelings they question their self. They don't trust themselves as much because they made this decision and now they have to live through the consequences of that decision. Whereas the person that gets broken up with or left, whatever you want to call it, they don't blame themselves because that decision was made by the other person, if that makes any sense. So that is why I suggest getting them to leave. Bring out your toxic. Hey, let's have some fun. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I'm so bad at this, guys. Please don't think I'm toxic. I just want you to be a free Adobe. You know what I mean? I am a free Adobe and it's been amazing. I love it. It's so much better. I thought, like you start to think you belong together and this new identity becomes something so important. But in reality, it's like it's so much better being who you are because it's easier to deal with oneself than it is to deal with somebody that is immature emotionally. Honestly, it's very hard to find somebody who's emotionally mature enough to even work on themselves because nobody's perfect. I never wanted somebody that was completely perfect. I just wanted somebody that would listen and not blame me and all this stuff, right? So that is why I suggest you let either them leaving or, if this is too toxic, just leave. But if they're physically abusive, try to get them to leave. Try to find a way to convince them that they can do so much better because that way they will not hurt you because they're the ones who left, and that is what I think went well. And yeah, therapy always helps. Writing things always helps when you feel like shit, but always when you're done with a relationship, always remember the bad because a lot of us tend to remember all the good and romanticize it, but look at it for what it really was. You know what I mean? Don't try to say it was all perfect because it wasn't, okay? It wouldn't make you so sad. Majority of the time in the relationship, throughout the whole relationship, did they put effort? Did they try to be around your family? Did they actually care about you? When you felt sick or something was wrong, were they there for you? No, you don't want somebody like that, you don't. It's especially if you're expected to do all this stuff and they didn't even move a finger, they couldn't care less. You could always tell by a person if you're having the worst of your times and they are there and they want to be there for you. I'm just going in circles at this point, but I'm not in a relationship, to be honest. I no longer hate Valentine's Day. In fact, I hated Valentine's Day more when I was in a relationship because they never cared about anything. It was just really bad. And when they did bring one thing or something, it just felt forced. You know what I mean? It just felt forced, and now I feel like the world is so much better, more brighter. I see things for what they are, and I learned my lesson, and I think single is so much easier, at least for me. If you found the one, then congratulations, but do not put up with a toxic relationship, okay? It's so much better being on your own. I swear, relationships, toxic ones especially, they affect you so much. Sometimes it's permanent damage, okay? And if you're not aware of the type of damage it caused you, it's gonna be really hard to fix. I had panic attacks at night when a lot of the worst situations in my toxic relationships happened. The punching, the cheating, whatever, all the great stuff that they later say were your fault. I would have panic attacks and I'd be in fear, but it slowly went away, and now I love nighttime again. I'm at peace, I'm happy, and I really wish I could just post them and what they did, the evidence and everything, to warn other women, because nobody deserves to be with people like that. Nobody. They deserve to be alone. And you know what? Alone isn't even that bad. If being on your own makes you sad or feels almost offensive, then there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Obviously, you can still feel lonely. But if you're not at peace by yourself and you can't entertain yourself, do stuff you like, then that's something to look into. I prefer my own company than any of them. I think you guys should understand that when you're in a toxic relationship, you feel like that's what you deserve, and that's all there is. There isn't. I promise you, there isn't. There's way better people out there, and besides, you could always make friends, and you don't have to be in a relationship. I don't know why it's so pressured. Whereas, like, in movies, everywhere in movies and shows, everywhere, there has to be a romance. It doesn't always have to be a romance. A good story doesn't need to fall into cliches that are so cheaply made, where it's like, oh my god, now they're gonna end up together. Like, who gives a shit? Can you just tell me a good story? I'd rather be a good story. I'd rather my life be a good story than just a cheap little romance. Most of them are toxic, by the way. The Notebook, I never finished it because it's full of shit. Okay, that shit was so cringy. I don't understand why people make it a big deal. I'm sorry if that's your favorite movie, but you might need therapy. This is coming from me, out of all people. I'm in therapy, you know? We probably all need therapy. I don't know. A therapist is like a referee for your mind, your thoughts. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Let me know you guys' how you guys deal with toxic relationships, and thank you, Mr. Underworld, for suggesting this. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.